Imagine a warm Florida night, the kind that promises freedom and open roads. For many, it's a scene of escape, of new beginnings. But between 1989 and 1990, the highways of the Sunshine State became hunting grounds, and at their heart was a predator unlike any the nation had seen before, Aileen Wuornos. Her story isn't just about the murders, it's a chilling descent into a psyche twisted by unimaginable trauma and desperation.
Indeed, Chloe. Aileen Carol Wuornos's life was an exceptionally bleak tableau from the very start. Born in Michigan in 1956, her early years were a relentless barrage of abandonment and abuse. Her father was incarcerated, her mother quickly left, and she was raised by her grandparents, a situation fraught with its own profound dysfunctions. By the age of 11, she was engaging in prostitution to survive, and by 13, she was pregnant after being raped. These formative experiences didn't just shape her, they fractured her, laying a devastating groundwork for the violence that would later erupt. It's a stark reminder of how early life trauma can profoundly warp an individual's path.
The escalation of violence began in late 1989. Wuornos, primarily working as a sex worker along Interstate 75, started preying on her clients. Her modus operandi typically involved soliciting male motorists, taking them to secluded areas, and then, after an argument or perceived threat, shooting them. The first confirmed victim, Richard Mallory, a shop owner, was found murdered in December 1989. Over the next year, 6 more men met similar fates: David Spears, Charles Cascadon, Peter Sims, Troy Burris, Charles Piron, and Walter Antonio. Each murder was brutal, the bodies often dumped in remote wooded areas, their vehicles later abandoned.
And it wasn't just the number of victims that shocked the public, it was the sheer audacity. A woman operating alone, systematically murdering men on the highway? This defied conventional notions of serial killers, which at the time overwhelmingly pointed to male perpetrators. The victims, ranging from a decorated police chief to a successful businessman, were seemingly random targets, united only by their encounter with Aileen. Their families were left grappling not just with loss, but with the horrifying question of how such a thing could happen, and by whose hand. The fear on those highways was palpable, a stark contrast to Florida's sunny image.
Law enforcement initially treated the cases as isolated incidents across several counties. However, the pattern of abandoned vehicles, particularly a red 1988 Pontiac Grand Prix belonging to victim Peter Sims, began to draw connections. Fingerprints found in Sims' car and at the scenes were cross-referenced, and a sketch of a suspect was developed based on witness accounts from places where stolen items were pawned. The distinctive appearance of Wuornos and her longtime companion, Tyria Moore, became crucial. The investigative focus shifted from disparate murders to a single terrifying spree, a chilling realization for all involved.
The breakthrough arrived when authorities located Sims' car. Inside, they found fingerprints matching those of Aileen Wuornos, known to police for minor infractions. But it was the detailed descriptions from motel employees and pawnshop clerks about Aileen and Tyria, often seen together, that truly solidified the connection. Detectives, realizing they were dealing with something far more sinister, began to track their movements, observing the pair at a biker bar in Volusia County. The net was closing in fast. The sheer volume of evidence, from pawn tickets to eyewitness accounts, made her apprehension inevitable. Her anonymity was rapidly dissolving. On January 16, 1991, Aileen Wuornos was apprehended at a biker church in Volusia County. Tyria Moore, under immunity, provided key testimony that led to Wuornos's subsequent confession. What followed was a disturbing and erratic series of admissions, revealing the depths of her rage and distorted justifications. Her statements painted a picture of a deeply disturbed individual, but also offered a glimpse into her rationalizations, often claiming self-defense against perceived attacks from her victims. These confessions were a critical turning point, not just for the investigation, but for understanding the complex narrative she had constructed around her actions.
Wuornos's confessions were a psychological maze. While she initially claimed self-defense, painting her victims as violent aggressors, physical evidence often contradicted these claims, revealing meticulously planned acts rather than spontaneous reactions. Experts examining her case, and indeed many like hers, often point to a confluence of factors: the profound early childhood trauma she endured, her antisocial personality traits, and a deep-seated hatred for men stemming from years of abuse and exploitation. Her ability to present a semblance of normalcy while harboring such profound rage is a hallmark of the twisted minds we study, a facade concealing a violent core. Her statements, though theatrical, offered crucial insight into how a predator rationalizes their brutality. Aileen Wuornos was ultimately convicted of 6 murders, beginning with Richard Mallory in 1992. Despite her claims of self-defense, the prosecution successfully argued that she committed premeditated murder for financial gain, taking items from her victims. She was sentenced to death and spent years on death row, her case attracting significant media attention, partly due to her unique position as one of America's few documented female serial killers. Her appeals were denied, and she was executed by lethal injection in 2002, bringing a definitive end to her dark journey.
Her case continues to fascinate and disturb, a grim benchmark in true crime history. It forced society to confront uncomfortable truths about the origins of violence, the impact of extreme neglect and abuse, and the challenging task of understanding the predator's psyche. Wuornos' story served as a stark reminder that predators aren't always what we expect. They can be complex figures, victims of circumstances who then become perpetrators, leaving a trail of devastation. While justice was ultimately served, her narrative offers a chilling, enduring lesson about the dark corners of the human mind and the societal failures that can contribute to such a horrific outcome, echoing the very essence of a twisted mind.